Hey there, Prep Plant Girl here. Well, I took a few days to go away with my husband and I come back and I am way behind on my seed starting. So I have impatiens that need to be planted. If you've ever grown impatiens before, you'll know they take a long time to kind of get going, to germinate and turn into a sizable plant. So you want to start them early and be patient with them as you wait for them to get going. So don't lose hope if you've planted your impatiens and they haven't sprouted yet. They can take up to 3 weeks, I think I've had sometimes. Another thing to note about impatiens is that they are certainly not frost hardy at all. So you want to make sure that your nights are staying, I would say, about 5 degrees Celsius above freezing before you put them out, or have them in a more protected place, like up against a building or something where there's less chance of having the cold air on them at night and of course during the day. So that's impatiens. I'm not going to plant those on camera, but I am going to be planting those today. I'm also going to be planting a couple of kinds of snapdragons. I have a rocket mix and then some seed that I collected off of mostly miniature snapdragons, I think is what is there. So I'm going to plant a dozen of each variety of those. The impatiens, I have this whole tray. That's going to be 72 of those. And then I am going to be planting my bright eye chrysanthemum. Planted this a few years in a row, and I think I have some videos where I planted that as well. I'm going to put a 9-pack of those. I'm going to do some bacopa. This package has, I think, 11 seeds in it, so I just have a 9-cell tray, and I'll put a couple in some of the cells. Otherwise, I'll just plant them one to a spot there. This particular bacopa seed that I get, this is from Bessie Seeds. It comes multi-pelleted. So there's a few seeds in each little ball of or pellet of seed mass that you get there. So if you've seen the pelleted seed before that I've shown, it's just like a little, almost like a clay-like substance that the seeds are wrapped in, and this one has several seeds in each. And you don't want to cover these with soil or anything, and you want to keep misting them. I'll still put some vermiculite around this, but just a very small amount. And then I'll mist it like every day, and that helps to break down the seed coat and actually helps them to germinate better. And they need the light to germinate, so that's why you don't want to cover them. So break down that seed coat, the light can get to them and they can germinate. So that's bacopa. If you've never grown it before, that's how you would do that. This is Feverfew, Amazon, and this is a nice little like a filler flower for in bouquets. I've heard that it's something that insects don't like to be around, and that if you want an area with lots of bees and butterflies and that, not to plant Feverfew near those areas. I planted mine away from a lot of my other flowers last year, but I didn't really notice that there was a lack of insect activity around where the Feverfew was. So I'm not sure if that's true or not. So put it in the comments if you have experience with that. Last year was my first year growing the Feverfew, and this is another seed that needs the light to germinate. So again, just set it on the top of the soil. You can use a fine vermiculite if you want over top, just to help control the moisture. But you want to make sure that it's under lights right from the beginning so that it can get germinated. Nigella is another beautiful little filler flower, just gorgeous, even a great dried flower. The Feverfew is a great dried flower too, but the seed pods of the Nigella, absolutely fabulous, great little decorative touch that they can add. And they are really easy to collect seed from, so I have some of my own collected seed. This seed is from both the Moody Blues and Delft Blue, and I'll plant a 9-pack of those, and then I'll do a 9 tray of the straight up Moody Blues. These again need light to germinate, and the Nigella is a little more frost hardy, so it can go out up to a couple of weeks before your average last frost. If you're just getting, lows in like around -5 or so, then you're safe to be putting the Nigella out. And some places recommend planting it every couple of weeks, doing a new sowing. I find in my short season here in Saskatchewan, Canada, that's not necessary. They seem to bloom and do well all through the season. If you have a very long season, mine's only 110 days, but if you have a much longer season, then you might want to do some succession sowings of them. And what I'm going to sow for you today is Dahlia seeds. So there's always a lot of videos about Dahlia tubers and starting Dahlia tubers, but I think Dahlia seeds are a little bit under recognized in their value. if you can get your hands on some Dahlia seeds, you never know exactly what you're getting for sure, but it'll be something like the description in the picture. But they won't be all exactly identical. And you can grow really nice dahlias. Some of them will even get large enough to produce tubers by the end of the season that you could save if you want to save them. And they're super easy to start from seed. You'll get a full plant, beautiful plant that's blooming and gorgeous right from the seeds. You don't have to use tubers to grow dahlias. So if you're willing to take a chance on exactly what the flowers will look like and just have a general idea of the color and style of flower, then dahlia seeds might be the way to go for you, and it's easier than trying to overwinter tubers and things if that's not your thing, or if you're just looking to maybe test your luck and discover a new variety or new type. So this is Sunny Reggae. I grew these last year. I loved the flowers that were on them. They were great cut flowers, and I'm looking forward to having them again. So I'm going to do 18 cells. So I just have my seed trays. These are great seed trays. I purchased these last year. They're like silicone seed trays, and I really like them. So if you're looking for some little 9-pack seed trays, I'll put the Amazon link down below for you. What this is just a little bit of Growers Mix peat moss. So it's nice textured peat moss, not a lot of big chunks or anything in it. And then I have added just about a third vermiculite to it. I'm out of perlite, or I would add a little bit of that as well, but it'll be fine with just the vermiculite. And I have a bit of water in here, but I haven't mixed it in yet, so I'm just mixing it in a little bit. And then once I have it nice and evenly damp, I'm just going to fill my seed trays. Now the dahlia seeds don't need to be planted very deep, so I'll just leave a little bit of a gap at the top of the tray. So I'm just tamping them down so they're not packed tight full, but there's no air pockets in the seed cells. So that's all I'm going to do with those. The other one going. Most of these seeds, probably all of these seeds in fact that I mentioned here today, want to be planted about 8 to 10 weeks before your average last frost, or before you plan to plant them out. So I am at 9 weeks before my average last frost, so that's about perfect for all of these seeds. So there's the second tray, looking good. Dahlia seeds are really easy to work with. They're similar in size and shape to a zinnia. So you just want to take 1 or 2 seeds. This packed from last year, it's probably still good viability, but I'll just put 2 in and I can always thin them out later. And I'm just going to set them on top of the soil. So hopefully you can see that. And the fan just kicked in my grow room here, so hopefully it's not too loud for you. But one of the most important things when you're starting a lot of seeds, or any seeds, is to have good air circulation. And so I have fans on timers in this room to make sure there's good air circulation in this room so I don't wind up with fungus and disease. So I've just set them on top. I'll do the same with this one. Just trying to put a little bit of space between them so that I can choose the strongest seedling when they come up, and I'll just cut the other one off at the soil surface. If you spread them out a little bit further, you could separate the cells, and if they both germinate, have 2 plants, but I think 18 will be more than enough. And I wasn't going to grow dahlias from tubers this year, and I didn't actually save my dahlias. I just left them in the ground last fall, but I had a weak moment and picked up a few dahlia tubers when I was out shopping, so I will have some to grow from seed or from tubers as well. So they're all set on there, and now they only want to be planted about 1/8 of an inch deep. So you could take just a tiny bit of soil, your potting mix, and just put it on top. You see I took out, this is kind of a crusty chunk of peat moss, so the seedling might have trouble poking through that, so I just removed that out. So just a very small scattering over the seed. With a smaller seed that has a more delicate seedling, lots of times when they ask for 1/8 of an inch, I'll just go in with vermiculite and not even do soil on top. But the Dahlia seedlings seemed last year like they're pretty stout seedling that's going to easily push through this little bit of potting mix here and come out. I am still going to go over them with a little bit of vermiculite. Vermiculite just helps to kind of regulate the moisture level right at the soil surface where the seeds are growing, so it's not too wet, not too dry. It'll absorb moisture when there's excess and let it out when the soil gets a little dry on the surface. And I'm just going to give these a spray to make sure that they have good contact with the soil and that vermiculite and that very top layer of soil is nice and damp. Now the dahlias don't need light to germinate, but they are going to be going on my shelf with my grow lights because I'm going to put them in the same tray with the plants that do need light to germinate. So they'll be in here with the Nigella and the bacopa and that. So they'll be in here. I will put a humidity dome, which is just one of these clear domes. I'll just put that over top this whole tray, just to help to hold the humidity in until the seeds have germinated. And once they've germinated, I'll take the humidity dome off. So again, we have lots of good air circulation around those young seedlings, and none of these seeds require heat to germinate. And so I'm not going to use a heat mat or anything. Now my grow room here is, let's see, 24 Celsius in here. So it's quite warm in here already. If you have a cold space or a cool area that you start your seeds in, you might want to use a heat mat just to have that ambient temperature around like 20 to 22 Celsius, which is where a lot of seeds are very happy to germinate. If you already have that, then you don't need to worry about a heat mat. If you are using a heat mat to germinate your seedlings, then again, as soon as those seedlings have germinated, like around 80% germination rate, turn it off so you don't cook those seedlings. Or at very least, once you have 80% germination, remove the humidity dome. And once you have 100% germination, for sure, turn that heat mat off. Too much bottom heat can stretch your seedlings. So you don't really want to have a lot of bottom heat once you have germination. You just want to let them grow at a good temperature. I even find in my grow room sometimes it's just ambient temperature in here is just too warm and some of my seedlings start to stretch. And that's why I'm constantly trying to keep fans going and the air circulation going in here to keep them cooler. I'm going to continue on planting all of these seeds, but I think you've probably seen a lot of seeds getting sown these days, and I do have videos, I think, for possibly all of these other varieties that I'm growing today. So I can put some links down in the description below for you if you're interested. But I'm just going to keep coming back whenever I have a few minutes, filling up a seed tray, planting seeds, and getting these done so I can get caught up and back on schedule with my planting calendar. So hopefully you found this interesting. Hopefully if you weren't sure when to start some of these seeds, it's given you an idea of when to get started. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.